Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Iris Rowley, and I am from Cincinnati, Ohio. I am a proud mother of 3 young, fine African-American men now. I am a senior in high school, goes to Walnut Hills High School. And I also am the education chair of the local NAACP in Cincinnati, Ohio, and a businesswoman. And I'm here today in support of Kelley Williams Bolar, and also encouraging the governor to please take a look at this case and to consider the pardon, so that Ms. Bolar will have a life and that she's able to provide a good life for her children. So with that, I am going to read my statement, and as you see, I have great support behind me. And once again, we want to thank you all for being here. For those of you who have missed it, my name is Iris Rowley, and I am a member of colorchange.org. And I am here to represent more than 160,000 people across the country who have signed petitions calling on Governor Kasich to push for justice in the case of Kelley Williams Bolar. More than 60,000 members of colorchange.org, more than 80,000 activists using change.org, and more than 10,000 members of momsrising.org are standing with Kelley Williams Bolar and calling the governor to intervene. Kelley's story has captured the nation's imagination because it strikes at the heart of a sentiment we all hold. Who among us in similar circumstances would make the same choice to do right by our children? How many of us don't know someone who's done something similar for their children? This reality is what unites almost the 160,000 men and women whose signatures are represented here today. We want justice for Kelley Williams Bolar, and we also want every parent to be able to send their children to safe, excellent schools without risking prosecution or imprisonment. This isn't too much to ask for. In fact, it's incredible that these things still exist. It's incredible that we must ask for this in the world's richest nation in 2011. The prosecutor in this case, Sherry Bevan Walsh, claims that she threw the book at Kelley because the law demanded it. But justice demands an outcome that is proportionate to the facts available. The outcome of this case was not justice. So we're here to demand it. I'd like to read the text of a petition that was signed by more than 69,000 members of colorofchange.org and momsrising.org. Dear Governor Kasich, I'm writing to ask you to intervene to correct a grave injustice in the case of Kelley Williams Bolar, a single mother who recently received a draconian sentence after sending her children to a school they weren't entitled to attend for 2 years. Ms. Kelley Williams Bolar was simply trying to send her kids to a good school. While it appears that she broke the law by enrolling her kids in the school district where her father lived, clearly her intent was to provide a good education and bright future for her children with limited resources. In the context of an educational system that does not provide equal opportunity to all, regardless of race or economic status. Ironically, Williams Bolar was studying to be a teacher and working as a teaching assistant, demonstrating her commitment not only to her own children, but to providing a better future for many other children through education as well. Ms. Kelley Williams Bolar was targeted by a prosecutor who refused to negotiate any kind of plea deal, instead pushing for the maximum punishment possible under the law. Luckily, she only served 10 days in jail instead of the 5 years she originally faced, because the judge saw that the sentence was an injustice. However, her own education and career may now be in serious jeopardy as a result of her felony conviction. While Ms. Williams Bolar made a mistake, the punishment in her case is vastly disproportionate to the crime she committed. I urge you to take a public stand in this case and push for a more just outcome. and that you commit to granting Ms. Kelley Williams Bolar a pardon should a request come across your desk. And I'm asking that you do everything you can to ensure that Ms. Kelley Williams Bolar has the opportunity to continue her education and teach in Ohio. Sincerely, the undersigned. We encourage that the governor has expressed concern about this case and that he has directed his staff to investigate the case. But as you've heard, there are more than 160,000 of us who are demanding more from the governor. We want him to do everything in his power to ensure a just outcome for Kelley Williams Bolar and her family. We're here to make sure Governor Kasich hears our voices, and we hope he listens. Now, we'll walk to Governor Kasich's office to deliver these petitions, but we do have some more comments after mine. I thank you for being present, and I thank you for hearing.
My name is Mary Jenkins. I'm the president of Christians Overcoming Cancer. I'm a minister here with Come As You Are Ministries, as well as I'm a single parent. And I understand the extent that a parent will go to for the betterment of their child. Any person that has children and they truly love them will go to the extent, whatever it takes, to put their children in the best possible position. In this day and time, it's important that not just the faith-based community, but all communities come together to do what's really right in this situation. If you have a child today, I ask you to hug your child a little bit more and do whatever is necessary to be right for that child. Thank you.
Well, we'll have a chance. If there are any questions that people want to ask before we head over to the governor's office.
How many of the 165,000 signatures were gathered in Ohio, and who handled your petition gathering process?
The petitions were handled by colorchange.org, which is the largest online African-American designer of petition regarding issues that are happening across the United States of America. And so I don't have the breakdown of numbers. In Ohio, there were a total of 160,000.
So they're all online signatures?
Yes, all online signatures, yes.
Is this a non-profit group?
Yes, it is.
What interaction have you had with Ms. Williams Bolar?
Well, currently, Ms. Williams Bolar is being represented by the Ohio Justice and Policy Center, which is located out of Cincinnati, Ohio. There has been some interaction. I personally have not, and I pray that I do so that I can give her my love and personal love and support, not just within these actions, but to physically see her and let her know that there are parents in Cincinnati, Ohio that support her and who believe that she deserves a second chance.
Governor Kasich has already publicly indicated that he is looking at the case, but from what he's seen of the case, he thinks the punishment doesn't fit the crime. Do you think you're maybe already talking about something you made the decision on in your favor?
Well, we want to make sure that the decision is in Ms. Kelley Williams Bolar's favor. So there will be no stopping until we hear something, so something is physically put down on paper and that she can see a tangible piece of legislation saying that she has been pardoned.
Has there been a clemency application submitted to the state parole board on this, or are you aware of that happening?
Not aware of that. No, I can't answer that.
There are a lot of cases of, say, women who are in Ohio prisons now for such crimes as stealing medicine for their children and other things like that. Are those also issues that Color Change works on, or are you specifically on education? And why do you think this particular case is drawing this kind of attention?
Well, this particular case is drawing this type of attention because people have done this throughout the United States of America in search of a better education for their children. And I think that because education is one of the last civil rights issues, and because the way that funding goes for education, there isn't an equal opportunity based on where you live, based on what county you live in, based on your zip code. So this type of issue should have a broader implication of what we need to do to fix our crumbling education system.
What sort of punishments have been enforced against people elsewhere in the country who committed the same crime?
I've not heard of any. Don't know that if it hasn't happened, I just have not heard of any.
What are your plans going forward to continue to push this issue?
We will continue to send messages to the governor, since it is in his hands and he's the only one that can do something about it. We'll continue to make sure that the world knows about Ms. Kelley Williams Bolar and her situation, and whatever else we see that we can do. This is a huge issue across the United States of America. As I said, I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. I've done the same thing, living in one district and making sure my children had an education where it fit them. Not all children learn the same. It isn't one size fit all. So you as a parent, you have to do what you need to do to make sure that your child gets the type of education that they need to become a productive citizen.
So you're not suggesting that she did not act fraudulently. You're just saying that the punishment's too.
Well, I'm not an attorney, but as a mom, we play one sometimes. What I am saying is that maybe we need to look at how we restrict certain individuals from schools, depending on where they are. And what I am suggesting is that if there is an equal opportunities for all schools to be the same, so that all children can receive the same opportunity, that would be something that we should be looking forward to. Not going back saying, well, because you live in this district and this school is better, you live over in this poor neighborhood, you don't get the funding. It's just an absolute fact.
Playing devil's advocate, though, if they give Kelley Williams Bolar the pardon, and if this is viewed as something that's easy to do, and that there's no repercussions for it, what's to prevent everyone from basically cherry picking to the best school districts and sending their kids there?
Well, we're gonna
Nothing. Hopefully nothing.
right, and we're gonna let
That'd be
you
great.
play angel's advocate, and you just heard the answer.
Yeah, because your child's
Can
education
you say that,
shouldn't be
Mike?
depicted
Can
by.
someone say that, Mike?
Your child's education should not be determined by the parent's economic status. And it's no secret that the more wealthy a particular neighborhood is, the more resources and funding that their schools have available. If I'm in a poor neighborhood, my child shouldn't have to use a 1983 computer as opposed to a child in Dublin using a 2011 model. And all those little intricate details feed into this situation.
What's your name, sir?
Greg Holly.
Greg Ollie?
Holly, Holley.
Well, that's admirable, but wouldn't all the good school districts just be overwhelmed with students and the poor districts have none?
Either that, sir, or the government would be encouraged to make sure that all the schools are good schools and there is no difference between any, regardless of income level.
As opposed to building,
That would be the future goal that we want to reach.
as opposed to, looking to the future to build more prisons to imprison those who don't get an education. There have been study after study that can determine where a child will go, even now in the womb, if they don't get a proper education. And so while we will see, non-development in poor communities, but you can look outside of that poor community and see a prison being built. So, exactly. So, yes, sir.
If one size does not fit all, the proposed expansion of the voucher program and the liberalization of charter schools and so forth, is that a solution to the problem that you see?
Well, I think this path that we're on today is speaking directly to Ms. Kelley Williams Bolar issue. The issues of charter schools and I'm sorry, you said
Primary school
vouchers. That's a broader issue. While I currently support them in Cincinnati, Ohio, where I live, if that is something that someone has an option for their children, then certainly. But this has a lot to do with funding, just straight funding of schools. Anybody else want to add anything to that?
Did any of the organizations represented here today take a stand on Governor Ted Strickland's evidence-based model, which was an attempt to even some of these things out? And
I don't believe so.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think the color change has that. Any other questions?